Whether you rock a profile rig in a semi-cube or a G29 clamp to an ironing board, we cover all things sim at WSIM. Coming up next is Rig Talk with your host, Late Apex. Well, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Back by unpopular demand, Late Apex coming at ya. Today on the program, we are talking about the limit and the details of detail and force feedback by the request of a couple viewers. So let's cut the yapping and make it happen here at WSIM. You know, we often hear about the limit. We know we need to drive on it. We know that is where our short hairs get happy, but we have a problem in sim racing. Without G-force, we have to train ourselves to know the limit in our favorite sim when the almighty Gooch can't feel what the car is doing. Now, we could go into more technical detail, but wouldn't it be more fun to jump on track with our favorite agoraphobe's sense of speed and find out what he looks for? Well, I do, and in the modern times of not taking time, we do just that. Good afternoon, buddy. Welcome back to the program. So what is it that you look for in force feedback in the limit? Hey man, well, what I look for can be different than someone else, but I can share what worked for me. I believe the key to driving as quick as we can is knowing how to let the car work while we correct our mistakes or adapt to whatever condition the limit is in, because it always changes. The cool thing is, our brain is a lot smarter than we are. With practice and paying attention to the behavior of the car and tires, our subconscious or instinct will develop on its own. We don't even need to worry about it. I know that may sound odd, but I have problems trying to describe how I approach driving because I don't really think about it. I mean, we know what we need to do on track if we know the basics of racing, but to me, driving is a state of awareness between instinct and concentration. We may think we are driving a car, but the car is driving us. And I'm sorry to go off the deep end there. Let's start with the basics. I was about to say, lay off the pipe, man. Yeah, right. Anyway, wheel position, how we grip the wheel, and what we hear on track are most important to me. The first thing I do in any sim is adjust the tire volume and turn down other sounds. That way I can hear more of what the tire is doing. For wheel placement, the basics apply. The wheel is high enough that our hands are just below center at an upward angle, our shoulders are relaxed, and we have a 90-degree angle at our elbow. At this position, detail and rebound feedback translate better and allow better leverage on the wheel as we push up on it. So the wheel is in a good position, but grip can be a problem with many. I relate driving a car like playing an instrument. A good lap takes rhythm and being aware of muscle tension. It is better to use a lighter grip, then push into the wheel with our palms while our thumbs rest as an anchor. By doing so, we can put more force into the wheel, maintain better control, and understand the force feedback better as we drive the car with the throttle and brake. Okay, wait a minute. Drive the car with the throttle and the brake. What does that mean? Yeah, I know it may sound counterintuitive, but we do drive with our feet. I'll show you how I learn a new car using an exercise I came up with when I first started that helped me go from mid-pack to top 10. Alright, cool. You're the boss, applesauce. I start with the force feedback about 3 or 4 newton meters higher than I usually drive to limit my arm movement and feel the initial tire load better. If you have a lower power base already at max, you can try turning up the intensity in game or add friction for the same effect. It's a really good exercise to learn how to drive the car and use the pedals more effectively, like we learn in school. When we turn the wheel on track, we start to feel the wall of force feedback. That is the sidewall of the tire starting to flex. As we turn the wheel farther, we feel the wheel get lighter. When it gets light, we are beyond the grip window at a given tire temp, track condition, or whatever. Now, let's head out. To be effective, we need to train ourselves to operate the car in the grip window using the least amount of steering input, but more importantly, let the car do most of the work. When driving, I pay more attention to tire noise and the rebound of the force feedback than what I see on the monitors. To do this, I start at a comfortable pace and practice keeping the car in the racing line using the pedals while turning the wheel just into the force feedback. If you practice this long enough, you will start to see how much less you need to turn the wheel, go faster, and you will manage tires better. My grip on the wheel is never constant and changes based on what I am doing. On a straight, I hold it just tight enough to let the car follow bumps or camber while keeping control. As I approach the braking zone, I lighten my grip to let the car settle as I brake, then tighten my grip a little as I turn in. When I turn in, my outside hand applies more force than my inside hand to help feel the rebound and the force feedback. Once I start to exit, I relax my hands again to let the car do its thing, then rinse and repeat until I start to understand how the car reacts. As the tires warm up and I push a little, I'm looking for certain things in the audio of the tires and the force feedback. We always hear about slip angle, and we know we go faster with a little bit of lateral slip, but rubber is a funny thing. There's a point when we reach the limit, where the tire just starts to slip then starts to pull back. That is where we want to be. The best way I can describe it is the car feels weightless, and there's a really fine audible chatter from the tire, like very short skips across the pavement. When you hit it, you know it, and I feel it in my whole body in real life. It's actually very similar to launching a drag car with a wheelie bar, but a little different. That is why I pay so much attention to tire noise in game, to train my ears. If I pay attention to exit speed and use a live clock, I can start to identify a window of frequency to keep the tires in during corners. I can also feel it in the feedback when I turn it down to my normal level. For a clock, I use a widget on the Lumarink clone I copied out of the lovely dashboard because the predicted lap time is live. If you need a dash, I think it's the best one out there. Go download it. It's free, or you can donate. It's great. Alright, hold up. That's interesting. What do you mean by window of frequency? Yeah, it's a range of sound from the tires starting to scrub, then goes too far. It gets a little deeper when the car starts to understeer or you're over the limit. That's when I know I need to dial back a bit and keep it under that point. Once I get a good feel for the car, then I'll start to push past the limit to get a feel where I start to lose time or scrub the tires too much and adjust accordingly because every car is different. Now that I have a good idea of how the car works, I turn the force feedback down until the tires feel more like rubber, then pay attention to how the car visually rotates or steps out compared to the force feedback. If it feels out of sync, I'll adjust inertia until it feels more in time, then try brake balance before getting into any setup changes. From there, I can start to work on consistency and areas of improvement. Right now, I need to add more preload to my throttle to get rid of a spike when I exit. It's a bad habit I've been working on for a while and it bugs the hell out of me. Once I started developing better foot control and paid more attention to the force feedback and audio, I found my pedal input became more reactive while my steering input more proactive, especially on corner exit and hitting the exit point. That's when I knew I was doing it right, and it really was the difference to finishing top 10, but there's always somebody quicker, and let's face it, I'm getting old. Yeah, aren't we all? So what else do you have? For final advice, I would say don't focus too hard. Let yourself go and just drive. A good session is a state of mind, like meditation. Practice the basics over and over, and the rest will come. Jump in a time trial and chase a ghost a little ahead of you, but not all the time to avoid bad habits. Sometimes we don't know how hard we can push unless we're chasing somebody faster. Consistency is repetition, from breaking points to the line you drive. Repetition until second nature allows our instinct to take over. Then one day you grab the brake and you feel you have the car by your feet. You turn in, hit the apex, aim the wheel where you know the car is going, then feel the car dig out of the corner, nail the exit, lap times go down, and you didn't think about it. You hear it in the motor, you hear it in the tires, you feel it in your hands. It's rhythm and a groove, just like playing an instrument. When that happens, you found the limit.